All right, well, let's do the Patreon Q&A for the month of April. It's a little bit delayed, but I was hoping a few more questions would come in. Unfortunately, they didn't, but that's okay. We can still do the 4 questions that came in. Plus, I will give you some extra commentary about Bitcoin. I wasn't going to talk about Bitcoin this week because there was a really interesting debate between a Bitcoin guy and a gold guy. But it wasn't as good of a debate as I was hoping. So I wasn't going to do any content about it. But since we only have 4 questions, I'll do it. And so we'll do that at the end. But we'll start with the questions. Before I do, though, let me just say this. Thank you for the support. I hope you've been enjoying the content. I've had a blast making it, especially this month. The last few weeks, I've had a lot of fun making the content. So hopefully you've been enjoying it. If you have any suggestions or any ideas or any comments or you want to yell at me, whatever you want to do, feel free to do so. ad@adrobles.com. Also, you can hit me up on my P.O. Box, P.O. Box 211, Keene, New Hampshire, 03431. Let's get to the questions. Sam P. has this to say. What are your views on Paedo Communion? So this is a kind of a federal vision-y type thing, and my views on Paedo Communion are very, very squish. I'll be honest. I for some reason, I have a reputation of being like hot or cold, black or white, that kind of thing. But I'm squish on quite a few things. This is one of them. I think so. So here's what I'll say. For my own kids, I don't practice Paedo Communion. I think that my oldest son, is ready to take communion as a believer. He's got a faith, the kind of faith that a 6-year-old would have. And all of those kinds of things. When he's in trouble, he prays to God, and he understands the weight of his guilt and all of these things. And I've had some really very amazing conversations with him about how sometimes he feels like he's God's enemy when he does the wrong thing, but he understands that he's not God's enemy, and it's just a very interesting thing at a 6-year-old level. So I don't practice Paedo Communion. I don't have my kids take communion with me. However, I totally see the argument that if you're going to apply baptism to children, that it makes sense to also allow them to participate in communion from, in a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old or a 6-year-old way. However, I don't feel strongly enough about it to go against the confession on it. I think that the people that wrote the confession make very good arguments as far as a, believers only type communion thing. And so I see both of the arguments, and I lean towards Paedo Communion. However, I don't feel strong enough about it to take an exception there for the Westminster Confession. But I am very ready to be convinced, if you know what I mean. Like I think that the Paedo Communion argument is right, but I'm not sure. So that's my view. I'm pretty much there. I'm just not there yet. I don't know if that helps. It's super squish. I get it. But I definitely don't think it's heresy. So, if you're one of these guys, it's like, well, it's total heresy. It's an absolute departure from the gospel. I don't believe that. So there I am. Sorry for the squish answer, Sam. Just is what it is, I guess. Thanks for support as well. All right. Next question. What's a worse sign of woke degeneracy? Pronouns in the bio or the use of Latinx? Man, Paul, this is a tough question because I have to choose one. They're so similar, but I have to say pronouns in the bio. Pronouns in the bio is, I don't know why, it just it instantly makes me feel a certain way. Latinx is more of a novelty. It's more of a joke. It's more fun. I think Latinx is more of a fun type of thing. Pronouns in the bio is serious, and I just don't get it. And, I'm in the recruitment industry, and so I'm starting to see pronouns in the resumes a lot nowadays, and in the LinkedIn pages and stuff like that. It is ridiculous, and I don't think it's actually going to have the desired result, in my opinion. But yes, I would have to say, if you're going to make me choose, which is very difficult to choose, I'm going to have to say pronouns in the bio. Thank you for your question. Thanks for your support. Let's move on. The next question is a little bit more involved, so let's get ready. Here's what it says. Do you think that there are times in history, for example, times of persecution and judgment, such as 80-60, where it would be unwise to marry? I have been thinking about 1 Corinthians 7 and trying to see if it applies to today's times or not. If I had any prospects, I would follow the advice of verse 36. But I wonder if it's not more wise to remain unattached while persecution ramps up. Yeah. So, I don't know. Okay. I hope you don't consider this a squish answer because I don't think it's going to be, but it's going to be kind of a yes or a no. I think that there are times for individuals where it might not make sense to marry. Like if you're on death row or something, you know what I mean, as an individual. Or you mentioned persecution. Well, it depends on your current situation and your personality and all that kind of thing. I don't think though that it would be fair to say that there could be a time where your advice for everyone at all times would be not to marry. I think it really depends on the time and also the individual. So I like how you said here, I would follow the advice of verse 36 if I had a prospect and all of that kind of stuff. So I think you're kind of exactly where I'm at. Like if you're, you know, if your desire is burning within you and there's lots of persecution all around you, you should probably still get married to your betrothed. You know what I mean? Like it's for you. Obviously, you need to do that. You know what I mean? But I don't think so. So it's kind of like a yes or no. I think that there could be times where that advice could be more common, where, hey, maybe you shouldn't get married, that kind of thing. But I don't think you could just do a blanket kind of peanut butter, spread it all over. Every Christian shouldn't get married. The persecution's too great. Like, I don't think that that's realistic. This is going to depend on the person, I think. I think it's going to be a very individual choice. You got to know yourself. You got to know your situation. You got to see what's going on around you and that kind of thing. So I guess the answer to your question is no in general, but potentially yes for an individual. Hope that helps. I'm not sure if it does. Sorry if it doesn't. But anyway, thank you for your support and your question. Next question, what is your name? What is your quest? And what is your favorite color? Well, of course, my name is A.D. Calvin. I mean, let's get real here. My quest, I'm just trying to do the best I can. You know, me and my brother have been joking around that like these days you just got to do the best you can. Like the context of that we were saying this was just like, you know, right in the beginning when all the censorship happened, Cal, like, and you know, you see Amazon doing crazy things, and you go, okay, I'm gonna cancel my Amazon, and like you cancel your Amazon, and then you buy from, I don't know, let's just say eBay, and you buy from eBay, and then all of a sudden eBay gets super woke and is doing something crazy or whatever, and you know, encouraging children to learn about LGBT history and stuff like that. Like it seems like everywhere you turn, there's someone that's compromising with something. And so, like, you just got to do the best you can. And it might not be perfect, but you're doing the best you can. And that's kind of what I'm doing. You know, I'm doing the best I can. I'm trying to set myself up in a situation where I'm as insulated as possible from all of the insanity. And I know I'm at God's mercy. You know, at any time I could be canceled. At any moment I could be canceled. I get that. But I'm just trying to live life that will mitigate these things as much as possible and make my children's life as good as I possibly can make it. I'm trying to set them up with an inheritance for them and their children's children and all of those kinds of things. And it's like, again, I know I'm at the mercy of my Lord, and there's, you know, only so much I can do, and God has to bless it and all of that kind of thing. But I'm just trying to do the best I can. My quest, Calvin, I know this is going to sound pathetic. My name is AD. My quest is just to do the best I can. It sounds so stupid when I say it, but that's really what it is. It's really what it is. I was. And let me say this. I'll finish the question. What's my favorite color? Clearly, it's orange. And I say clearly because I've loved orange ever since I was a kid. In fact, I got in trouble once. There was a pile of paper, like scratch paper, that my teacher had, and we could always just grab a piece if we needed to draw a picture or whatever. And I remember I got in trouble because I took an orange marker and I colored the side of, you know, it's almost like a book binding. So it was like this thick of paper, and I colored all of it orange because I just wanted to see the orange. I just loved orange so much, and I got in serious trouble for damaging all the paper. But really, it was just the side of the paper. You know, it's not a big deal. Just the side of the paper was orange. Who wouldn't like orange after all? So yeah. But anyway, I was back to the story. This weekend, It's Good to Be a Man. This past weekend, put out an article about working for yourself or working for somebody else, and how there's like a stigma sometimes among men, you know, for working for an employer instead of being a self-made, you know, entrepreneur. And it was saying that that's not true. Like, you know, you can be a wage slave working for yourself or for someone else. It's more about what you do with your money, how you operate with your money. And that's true. I totally agree with that. I don't think there's no shame in working for somebody else as an employee. There's no shame in that. In fact, oftentimes you can make more money doing that. You have a more stable situation doing that, more benefits doing that, and more time doing that. So there's a lot of benefits sometimes to working as an employee. There's no shame in that whatsoever. I've seen some YouTube videos where they're like, well, calling someone a boss is like calling someone daddy. Who wants to do that? Well, you're just a wuss. And I disagree with that completely. Now, I do work for myself. And actually, it's good to be a man. Guys have worked for themselves before as well. And I think Michael is an employee now. But anyway, the point is, though, that like one of the reasons why I want to work for myself is that I think I can make almost as much or maybe even a little bit more than I could in a regular job. But even if I couldn't, let's just say I could make much less working for myself. To me, I put a high value on working for myself because of the risk of being canceled. You know what I mean? Like I think that I know my personality, and I would be less likely to say what needs to be said and do what needs to be done if I worked for somebody else. And that's a character flaw. I'm not saying that has to be that way. I just know that that's my personality. I wouldn't probably have as a good of a YouTube channel if I worked for somebody else. I'd probably bite my tongue a lot more and stuff like that. And so I put a high value on working for myself. Even if I made less money, I value the perceived freedom that comes with it. Does that make sense? Because I think it's just a perceived freedom. Like you could be just as awesome and just as telling it how it is and just as effective work as an employee. You just have to be a little bit more fearless. And I know that about myself, that I might feel like I'm fearless, but I would definitely, I think, bite my tongue more and scale it back a little bit more. So to me, it's worth it to have the risk and some of the ups and downs of working for yourself. And if you look at the statistics, I know the kind of the meme is that you could only make a ton of money being an entrepreneur, and frankly, that's actually the opposite is true. On average, most people that start their own company don't make it big. In fact, they would have made more working for somebody else. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't start side gigs as they're working for somebody else. I think that's an awesome thing, and I think that most people should probably do that. And most Christians should probably do that. But I'll tell you right now, I'd work for a company. Like if I could find an awesome Christian company to work for, or like an awesome Christian boss to work for, and it was a good company and a good mission, I believed in it, and I could make a decent salary doing it, I would do it probably. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know what I'd do. But I'd consider it. You know what I mean? I guess that's the point. I'd definitely consider it. But anyway, I know you didn't ask that question, Calvin, but I just thought I'd give you some bonuses. So AD is my name. My quest is just to do the best I can. And my favorite color is orange. God bless you, brother. Thank you so much for the support. All right, couple of bonuses here. So apparently Bruce Jenner is running for governor. And for some reason, Breitbart is excited about it. That's pathetic. And I just thought I'd share that because I'm just going to say that's pathetic. Now, let's talk about Bitcoin. So there's this debate, right? And Daniela Camboni over here, she's at Stansberry Research now. I think she used to be for Kitco News, talking about gold and silver and things of that nature. Now she talks a lot about Bitcoin. Anyway, it's between Frank Giustra and Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor is the CEO of MicroStrategy. They keep a significant part of their cash reserves in Bitcoin, and he's one of the biggest Bitcoin bulls of all time. And I know a little bit about Frank Giustra, but he's a more traditional investor, and he likes gold a lot. He doesn't like Bitcoin at all. Well, I shouldn't say that. He doesn't like Bitcoin that much. And they were going to debate what's a better asset to have. What's a better asset to have, especially in the face of inflation and stuff like that. Bitcoin and gold. And it was supposed to be an awesome debate. I actually did not like the debate very much. I thought that Frank, the gold guy, and I'm actually more on Team Gold. I'll be honest at the outset. I'm more on Team Gold here. But I thought that the gold guy, I liked some of what he said to critique Michael, but he seemed to be very defensive, and he was attacking Michael almost personally, which I found very off-putting. Michael Saylor is a great pitch man for Bitcoin, but actually he demonstrates what I think is my biggest hesitation. And I don't mean from a technological perspective, I mean from a philosophical perspective. Because often when you hear people talk about Bitcoin, it's as if Bitcoin is literally perfect. Like it could not be better. It's like it does everything good. You can't be stolen. It can't be hacked. It's going to always go up, and it just gets better and better and better. And it's just like the exaggeration. Like there's no flaws to it when you talk to some of these Bitcoin guys. And that to me, ideologically and philosophically, sends all kinds of alarm bells up. I agree. This is the interesting part about this. Michael Saylor says that he criticizes certain aspects of gold. And the thing is, I agree with a lot of his criticisms of gold. So it's like, I understand that gold has flaws as well. But the thing is that Bitcoin has many flaws also. But Michael Saylor doesn't admit to any of them, which I find so off-putting. He's a really good pitchman. You could tell he really believes what he's saying. Either that or he's just trying to pump up the price big time, which didn't work because Bitcoin's not doing so well right now after this debate. Anyway, in fairness, it started tanking a little bit before the debate. So anyway, but I just want you to hear his opening remarks, because his opening remarks typify exactly my hesitation. Like, you don't have to go overboard and think and convince me that Bitcoin is like nearly perfect in order for me to think Bitcoin is a good idea. I don't own any Bitcoin anymore. I own a little bit of Ethereum. I sold all my Bitcoin and bought Ethereum instead, probably 2-3 weeks ago, something like that. And I don't own a ton of crypto at all. It's a very insignificant part of my portfolio, but I just have it as a, kind of like a fun money. It's like going to Atlantic City and putting it all on red, just a little bit, something you could afford to lose, that kind of thing. Maybe you'll hit it big, who knows? But anyway, I'm okay with Bitcoin. I'm not anti-Bitcoin. I'm not anti-crypto, but this is my hesitation. This is why I don't put any significant parts of my money in crypto, because I know that this is not true, and so I wonder, why are the biggest bulls making it seem like it's nearly perfect? I really don't like that. It makes me super suspicious. And I'll just give you an example. Here's an example.
So the debate is Bitcoin versus gold. I think that all gold holders and all Bitcoin holders agree on sound money principles. And the real debate is which is the best monetary system in order to pursue the ideals of sound money. So I think we start with some basic ideas. First of all, human civilization rises through channeling energy. We invented fire, that's capturing chemical energy. Then we build our cities next to rivers, we're capturing water, and we're channeling gravitational energy. The aqueducts were critical to the Roman civilization. When we compress air in a canister, we're channeling pressure. Electric systems and batteries are channeling energy. Lasers are channeling photons. If we want to better the human condition, we need to be able to capture, store, and channel that energy. Money is energy. Money is a store of value, and it's also a technology that allows us to trade that energy over time and space. So if we look at the history of money, we've gone from commodity money to coinage of those commodities, to notes represented by that money, to fiat currency, and now we have cryptography as a basis of money. Now, sometimes gold advocates say that gold is the ideal money. Well, really, the ideal money, if God came down and God waved his or her hand and created the ideal money, it would be based upon Luca Pacioli's modern accounting principles of double entry accounting. And if you had godlike power and you could implement a double entry ledger like Pacioli introduced in 1494, and perhaps you could define 21 million units that are infinitely subdividable, trillions and trillions of times each, you could maintain that in magic space, and then you could settle everybody's trades instantly everywhere on Earth, everywhere in the universe, in a fair and equitable fashion. That would be a good money. We could call that God coin. And God coin is like perfect instant transactions, never losing any information. Well, the next best thing that we've invented is, as humans, is Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's the most efficient monetary system we've yet to implement successfully. It's 21 quadrillion Satoshis, 350,000 transactions a day. It cost about 10 basis points.
I'm going to stop it right there. It gets a little bit boring after that. But do you see my point? It's like, and then if you keep watching this, he will make these audacious claims about how it can't be hacked and it's going to get better. And it's just like, and they're just audacious. It's like, and he'll say, well, gold is going to get you robbers to come and steal from you. And Bitcoin doesn't have that problem. Like, you really think that robbers aren't going to try to figure out how to get Bitcoin out of people? Like, it's just so crazy to think that Bitcoin's essentially perfect. It's basically the next best thing to God coin. Did you catch him or her? That's how he refers to God. He's obviously a pagan. We get that. But the thing is, like, he doesn't say it's perfect. He says it's just about perfect. Like, there's God coin and then there's Bitcoin. It's just there's no need to exaggerate the way that Michael Saylor does. Even if you like Bitcoin, you have to understand it's not perfect. In fact, there exist, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, so don't get mad at me, there exists cryptocurrencies that are better at being Bitcoin than Bitcoin. Already they exist. So just because Bitcoin was first doesn't mean it's going to be the best. I mean, just like AOL was the first, or it really wasn't, but just like AOL is the first one most of us had, it's not the best. It doesn't even exist anymore. So it's like, like, I just don't find, I find that off-putting, and it makes me very hesitant to even consider putting, considerable money in Bitcoin. Now, I probably wouldn't anyway, because there's a lot of reasons why I wouldn't. But anyway, I just find that's one of my biggest ideological kind of philosophical reasons to not do it, because when you hear the pitches, it sounds too good to be true. And what does that likely mean? And with gold or silver, yes, there are definite downsides. Here's a silver coin that I just got the other day. This is just a silver. This is a Philharmonic from Austria. This is, it's a decent little coin here. And so, there's definite downsides to this, right? Obviously, there's downsides to this. It's kind of clunky and all that kind of stuff, and it's not that divisible. So I recognize that there are problems with tangible money and hard money like that. But I think that it's good to at least recognize some of those downsides, so you know kind of what you're getting into. If you've got this perfect asset that's just essentially perfect, I mean, the only thing better would be if God himself or herself, God, man, were to come up with a crypto coin like that. It's just too much. It's just too much, and I'm not in. That's instantly gets my red flags up. A lot of people have talked about, what if there was a coin, a crypto that was able to be backed by gold or something tangible? I think that's an interesting idea. I'm not technical enough to know how that would work, but I'm okay with that kind of thing. Anyway, that's all I'll say about that. I hope you find this video helpful. God bless.